tuned to Planet Vero Radio. We are broadcast on iHeart, and we are also podcast on Spreaker. I am Cindy Schwartz, and this is the Patient Partners Show. I've got my co-host, Jeannie Roller from Indiana on Skype, and I also have a psychotherapist in the studio with me today. Her name is Shotzi LaJoy. She's a local psychotherapist, and from my vantage point, she is expert, and she is also very, very well known in the local area, so that's why I wanted to have her on. The topic today is PTSD, medical PTSD, and also medical trauma. So welcome, Shotzi LaJoy. I appreciate it, and I want to hear what you have to say, and I know you're going to have some great inside information.
Oh, thank you so much, and thank you for inviting me. So I think I'll just start off with PTSD is, in the business, it's a reaction to something that's abnormal. And it, a trauma response is because you've experienced something abnormal. So it's not normal to ever go in and have surgery. That is always anxiety provoking.
Mm-hmm.
And you could have medical PTSD if the whole procedure was done perfectly, just because you subjected your body to be cut, or bones to be, broken and reset, or your nose to be, reformed, or you're so worried and you have so much anxiety before, and if it doesn't look the way you want it to look afterwards, you're, devastated.
Right.
But then there's kind of malpractice that goes on that, can have, your body could feel the same about it. You could be traumatized that something didn't, my leg is bent for the rest of my life. I thought they'd fix it perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have that I trusted this doctor, and I trusted this nurse, and I trusted the process, and I'm not getting a normal result. And the key word is normal, because PTSD is abnormal, and it's abnormal to have a father sexually abuse his daughter.
Right.
That's abnormal.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That causes a lot of PTSD.
Yeah.
It's abnormal to have a husband rape his wife. That's, it's abnormal to go into a procedure and, be mistreated and not having protocol followed. And then you find out about it and you feel like, you've been completely betrayed. And
Right.
that causes an anxiety response.
And so on other shows, Shotzi, we've talked about some of the stuff being intentional harm, to the effect that the patient wasn't completely educated about the ins and outs of what this certain procedure is. And for an example, sometimes we've had people on here that talk about ankle surgery, and they were completely stripped naked. Their groin was shaved and this was shaved. They had no idea going into this that was going to happen, and they wonder why they weren't told, because they knew personally, and I know you and I talked about this before the show, the person knew personally they couldn't handle that.
Right.
And so if that was told to
Right.
them, they would have went somewhere else. So
Right.
that's the other part that you and I talked about the other day before the show, is that, people bring baggage to these situations. We all have baggage. There's not one person that I know that doesn't have some kind of baggage, some worse than others. So we want the information, we as the patients, up front, so we can make the totally informed consent.
Yeah, and I find that, here comes the problem, is that when I'm doing something that I've never done before, I might not know the questions to ask.
Right.
And there can be informed consent where we're being given all these papers of what the procedure is. But if you're like me, I scan the 15-page document and sign it, and I have no idea that they told me they'd be doing this and they'd be doing that. And then I'm mortified. That could happen. But more so is that it's safety.
Right.
And if let's say something happened and it was just a lack of protocol. They didn't follow the directions. a lot of times they've, done the procedure on the wrong arm or the wrong,
Oh, yeah.
they're not looking at the charts right or
yeah.
something like that.
Right.
And you come out and you just feel like, oh my gosh, I can never trust the medical field again. And you get this kind of feedback loop that's not going to allow you to get treated. Or if you do get treated, you're so full of anxiety that they don't really want to have you as their patient because you're so full of, reactionary anxiety.
Right.
And I think that, what we need to understand is that, building a sense of safety, regardless of the trauma. I mean, I don't care if you're a wounded veteran, and you can't hear a car backfire and you go into a panic, or you're someone who's been, gone through a medical procedure and now refuses to go to any doctor ever again for as long as they live.
Right.
I mean, these are extreme reactions. And so we want to be able to build a bridge and bridge ourselves back into normal behavior by understanding that the anxiety that we feel is real.
Right.
And that in order to reduce that anxiety, we need to be with somebody who is going to affirm us, who's going to be patient with us. It's going to allow us to build a kind of like a safety zone.
Well, you want to be validated also, and
Right.
you also want to know that, and Jeannie, roll a pipe in here. We have, like 3 or 4 minutes left. We want to be validated, and we want to know that maybe something did happen that was a mistake. And I'm not saying it's a suable offense. We're not all about, litigation and all of that. But, okay, say, yeah, we shouldn't have done that. We're sorry, blah, blah, legitimately, and try to fix it. And that's
Right.
what we find doesn't happen. Jeannie, your thoughts?
Well, not only that, but some offenses, like what happened to my husband, should have criminal charges brought against those people, and they should be dismissed and their licenses suspended forever. So, yeah, money doesn't fix it. And
No.
and for us, we're one of the extreme ones that says no more medical intervention.
Right.
Yeah. And plus the PTSD patient, Shotzi, wants closure.
Right.
Yes.
So
Right.
how do we get that?
Well, sometimes it's, therapy is where you get it, and the ritual of working through it and coming to terms with that it happened, that even though it happened without the kind of closure that you wanted, because you're safe now and you fully understand, that you're not crazy. Even though someone says, I didn't do that, that you can trust yourself, because PTSD also is a disconnection to the self.
Okay.
And you want to be able to say, someone's going to lie to me, someone's going to, just completely just dismiss me as a human. I reject that, and I'm whole and I'm good and I'm safe and I can move on with my life. PTSD can keep us frozen, and being in that frozen state, you don't move on from your life. You stay stuck. And that's where, psychotherapy really does help create that bridge that says, you can be connected back to yourself, even though. And that's a very important message to get out there.
Because you can't unchange it. I mean, it already happened.
Well, always that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You can never say, no, I wasn't in a war, or, oh no, I didn't have that operation.
You're right. Right. Yeah.
I mean, you can never not say that, but what you can say is that, even though this happened to me, this was one of the things I struggled with in my life, and I am back.
Okay.
I am back 100%. I'm back. I'm me again.
Okay.
And that's what therapy does.
And that's what the goal is, really, to do some kind of psychotherapy. I know there's also drug intervention and stuff like that, but people are leery of that when they've already been harmed from the same system.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
You can see that.
Okay.
Yeah. Jeannie, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we're very leery. We have no trust in any medical person whatsoever.
Yeah.
None.
And that's sad to hear. And so anyway, you've been listening to Planet Vero Radio. Shotzi LaJoya, thank you so much for being here. Jeannie Roller is always my co-host. Another good conversation. Stay with us on Planet Vero Radio.